What up, YouTube? Team Movies here. It's my throwback segment, or as I call it, the getting old segment, where I talk about the films that turned 10 and 20 this week. Alright, with that being said, here are the films that first turned 10s, then 20. Alright, the films turning 10 is the Jennifer Lopez horrible classic comedy, The Backup Plan. Now, it's an interesting film. It's where Jennifer Lopez portrays this woman named Zoe, who decides it's time to make an appointment with the at the sperm bank. And so, like on the same day, as we said, she ends up meeting this guy named Stan, played by Alex O'Loughlin, who's this man with the potential to be her ideal mate. But Stan learns that Zoe's unpredictable behavior isn't the results of her pregnancy, and so he declares his commitment. And he ends up declaring that his and as the due date ends up approaching, they end up realizing that they don't really know each other without a baby in the picture. So yeah, it's actually pretty horrible. It has a good cast too. Like besides Jennifer Lopez and O'Loughlin, you have the likes of Melissa McCartney, Eric Christian Olsen, Tom Bosley. For some reason, Caesar Milan, Anthony Anderson. Jennifer Lopez doesn't always have the best film career, and The Backup Plan was one of them. It's completely unfunny. It's just Jennifer Lopez. She was okay, but even she could save this film. Yeah, not really that good of a flick. All right. Also turning 10, we got a film called Boogie Woogie, which stars Heather Graham, Alan Cumming, Amanda Seyfried, Christopher Lee, Jack Houston. And it's about a tycoon's crafty white plays rival bidder against each other as a shady art dealer tries to obtain a valuable painting. This movie was actually okay. I mean, Heather Graham was decent. Jack Houston was good. Amanda Seyfried, she's always pretty good. So, yeah, Boogie Woogie was a pretty decent little flick. Alright, also turning 10, we got a really good documentary called Best Worst Movie, which is a documentary that reviews the making of one of the most horrible horror films of the 80s, Trolls 2. From the perspective of its former child star, Michael Stevenson. And this is actually a really decent documentary about making of a really iconic, bad movie and the process of making that bad film. And it's actually a pretty solid one. And if you guys have not seen Best Worst Movie, it's a really decent documentary worth checking out. All right. Um. Now, also turning 10, we got this film called The Losers, which is directed by Sylvian White, who last directed Slenderman. Oh, God, that movie is so horrible. Anyway, it's about a team of elite commandos led by Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Chris Evans, who finds himself on the receiving end of a lethal betrayal, and so now they're presumed dead, and so the man joined forces with a mysterious operative named Aisha, played by Zoe Saldana, to hunt them down, to hunt their enemies and even the score. It also stars the likes of Columbus Short, Jason Patrick. The Losers is pretty awesome. It is based on a comic book. Yeah, Chris Evans has done more comic books than Captain America. I mean, besides Fantastic Four, he was a Scott Pilgrim, The Losers. So he's kind of a comic book king, if you want to look at it. And The Losers is loads of fun. It's funny, entertaining. Jeffrey D. Morgan, who's also no stranger to the comic book genre, coming off of Watchmen, Batman vs. Superman. They were both really excellent in this. It's a really fun action film. It has some great humor. If you guys never seen The Losers, go check it out. It's a really fun little flick. Alright. Speaking of actors who have appeared in multiple comic book films, also turning 10 is a very underrated film titled Paperman, which stars Jeff Daniels, who portrays this frustrated novelist who begins to upend less on his imaginary friend, played by Ryan Reynolds, when he forms a unique bond with a Long Island teenager played by Emma Stone. And besides Daniels, Reynolds, and so it also stars the likes of Lisa Kudrow, Chris Parnell, Hunter Parrish. Paperman is a really underrated gem. And of course, Ryan Reynolds, he's no stranger for the comic genre either. Green Lantern, Deadpool. But man, him playing an imaginary friend was pretty cool to watch. And of course, Jeff Daniels. He's Jeff Daniels. He's always great. Emma Stone was decent. If you guys never seen Paperman, it's a really tragically underrated little flick, and it's definitely worth giving a watch. All right. Also, now turning 20, we got a film called The Big Kahuna, which is about three salesmen for a thundering industrial lubricant manufacturer who hangs out in their company's hospitality suit at a major convention, waiting for the arrival of a prospective customer they privately dubbed the Big Kahuna, and whose potential sales would turn the struggling company around. You got Danny DeVito, who portrays Phil, who plays peacemaker between the cynical huckster, and you got Kevin Spacey and Pierre Facinelli, who portrays the company's who portrays these guys named Larry and Bob, and the company's new hire, who's a religious, irritates Larry. This is also kind of pretty underrated. I mean, you got Danny DeVito and Kevin Spacey, who of course actually appeared in Austin Powers and Go. You remember the beginning of like the fake movie for Go that was featuring Go Member with Danny DeVito as Mini Me and Kevin Spacey as a Dr. Eva. And of course, they played comic villains too before. Of course, Danny DeVito was the Penguin in Batman Returns, while Kevin Spacey was Lex Luthor in Superman Returns. So I gotta find it funny that two actors from two comic movies with the word "return" in the top both appeared in a film together. But anyway, it's a pretty decent little flick, and they had some really good chemistry. So if you guys haven't seen The Big Kahuna, go check that one out. All right. Also turning 20, we got the sci-fi film Frequency, which is a time travel based film, and you got Jim Caviezel who portrays John, and here's the interesting synopsis. What if you had the chance to travel back in time and change just one event in your life? What would it be? For John, played by Caviezel, there is no question he would undo the events of October 12, 1969, when the out-of-control Bruxton fire took the life of his father, played by Dennis Quaid, a heroic firefighter. Now John may get exactly what he wished for and much more than he bargained for. It also stars Elizabeth Mitchell, Andre Braugher, Noah Emmerich, Mike Sarah. It's a pretty decent sci-fi film. It's been a while since I've seen this, to be honest, yeah. But I mean, Dennis Quaid, Jim Caviezel both play off each other really well. Has some really cool sci-fi elements, nice time travel element. I'll say go check this one out. Crazy to believe it turns 20 though. Alright, also turning 20, we got the film Where the Heart Is, which stars a very young Natalie Portman who portrays this Tennessee teenager, Novalee Nation, who ends up being left barefoot and pregnant at a Walmart parking lot by her no good boyfriend. And it's actually a pretty decent film. Natalie Portman's decent. You also had the likes of John Cusack, Ashley Judd, Dylan Bruno, Stocker Channing, Keith David, Sally Field. Really decent flick. Natalie Portman, probably one of her best early performances. She was terrific here. Ashley Judd, who plays the Good Samaritan nurse, ends up takes Novalee and her newborn daughter in. Was pretty decent. Those two had really good chemistry, Natalie Portman and Ashley Judd. If you guys haven't seen Where the Heart Is, go check it out. Really decent flick. And there's also a film called Time Code, which is a romantic comedy with Salma Hayek and Stellan Skarsgård, Holly Hunter, Kyle MacLachlan. That movie's not all that good, to be honest, yeah. This might be unpopular. but my favorite film that turns 20, cannot believe this turns 20 this year, and that is Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas. This is a prequel to the Flintstones, where how and it shows how Fred and Wilma met. It shows how Barney and Betty met. Uh, you got Thomas Gibson as a Chip Rockefeller. Alan Cumming portraying not one but two characters. He portrays the Great Gazoo and Mick Jagger. I single-handedly love Viva Rock Vegas. This movie did not really get the best love when it got released. But I will say, even though I did like the John Goodman one, the Flintstones actually had some better stuff than that one. I love Rick Moranis. I will admit right now, Stephen Baldwin portrayed Barney Rubbles slightly much better than Rick Moranis did. I thought Stephen Baldwin was born to play Barney Rubbles. Just like how Matthew Lillard was born to play Shaggy. Stephen Baldwin was a great Barney, and Mark Addy from Game of Thrones fame was great as Fred Flintstone. Of course, this ended up taking them to Las Vegas, or as they say, Rock Vegas. I mean, heck, you even had Rosie O'Donnell, who appeared in the first Flintstone, voicing an octopus in this. So there's that. But I don't care what it says. Despite the bad reviews, I could watch this movie plenty of times. It's more of a guilty pleasure, I will admit, but I get kicked out of this film every time I watch it. Mark Addy and Steve Baldwin, their chemistry as a Fred and Barney was great. I just really got kicked out of this. And that's pretty much it. Let me leave to you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? Out of the 10 years one, the one that stands out to me the most is The Losers. While the 20 years one, the one that stands out to me the most is actually Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas. But anyway, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here, See Movie signing off.